Monday Night Raw took place in Kansas City, Missouri. So I wanted to mention this. Last year I did this show in Kansas City as well. It was around this time. It was only like a few weeks after Mania. And they had Patrick Mahomes as a guest. Now, he wasn't here this year. I think he's still reeling from the Super Bowl loss, just like we are still reeling from a subpar, disappointing WrestleMania. So, we had a bad Super Bowl and a bad WrestleMania this year. And I think bad for both if you're a Chiefs fan and if you're a WWE fan, because not happy what I saw. I'm still mad. So I think Stephanie Vaquer and Julia are now just regulars. It seems like Vaquer is still NXT champion, but Julia just seems like it's a call-up. So when Vaquer eventually loses the belt, she's probably just going to be on the main roster permanently. They talk about Gunter's suspension. The announcers do. Rollins comes out with Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman. A very mundane promo. You think nothing happens. Sami Zayn interrupts. Sami is upset about what they're doing. Calls Seth hypocritical for the bloodline stuff. Seth tells Sami to join us or accept the consequences. Then he had Braun and Sami stare each other down for a while, and that's up a match later tonight. They show highlights of last week's women's match. Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez is next. Julia, by the way, this match was actually pretty decent. Roxanne ripped over Rhea Ripley's leg, but then Julia came out and caused a DQ. They both attack Rhea Ripley, then they throw her outside to the ring. Io Sky comes in, makes a save. She beats them down for a while, but then they win with the number advantage. Io Sky gets beat down, but then Rhea comes back from the outside, fights them off, and the heels retreat. We had Judgement Day backstage. And Finn's upset that JD came back without telling him. He felt like he should have known first because he's closer with him. Liv gets them a tag team title shot, so clearly what they did with Edge a few years ago when they all throw to him is going to happen to Finn. Finn's out of this faction very soon. Logan Paul's backstage. He heads to the ring. Logan cuts a promo on Jey Uso. He wants a title shot. Jey just comes out and just cuts a shit promo. Jey Uso fucking sucks. It was... I saw my brother get beat up. He's fucking horrible. Jey Uso's one of the worst world champions of all time. I think Jey Uso fucking sucks. I apologize if my voice is really loud. You might have to turn up the volume a bit. I'm still very sick. Just that WrestleMania main event really made me sick. I think it was a combination of the Mania Night 2 main event and the Mania 1 undercard, but I apologize if my voice is very down, but Jay sucks. Jay super kicked Logan Paul to end the segment. Logan on the mic was way better. I thought he was actually pretty good. Unfortunately, we're getting this match at Backlash. New Day's on commentary. War Raiders took on Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Penta helps the War Raiders win, so he gets some revenge after what the Judgement Day did to him last week by costing him in the match against Dom. So he gets back at them, and War Raiders get the victory. Continues to tease tension with Finn and Judgement Day. Sami Zayn talks to Otis backstage. Paul Heyman puts up a chair next to Sami. Otis ends up leaving. Then Paul offered him a title shot if he agrees to go to SmackDown. Sami looks like he's considering it. We see Becky Lynch walking to the ring backstage. Once Becky gets in the ring, she reveals she attacked Bayley at WrestleMania Night 1. She tears into Bayley for attacking her since 2019. I remember that time. She mentioned the year 2019. I have bad PTSD for all that horrible wrestling we saw from WWE. That was the worst year ever for WWE. At least since I've been watching full time. That was a horrible fucking year. Why'd you mention that, Becky? I hate you now. Anyway, she's really upset. I think she never actually said damage control, but she's referring to all the time she was attacked by damage control. And she had that long feud with Bayley 2 years ago now. And she says Bayley is pouting, and she's referring to that interview she did with Chris Van Vliet, which I saw, which was really good, by the way. She's saying that she's not as big of a star as Becky Lynch, and Bayley said, I don't feel like I'm as big of a deal as Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair. And Becky is saying she's a bigger star than her. She rips into Bayley pretty good, and she goes after Lyra, and for betraying her and talking to Bayley. Lyra comes out. Lyra was doing her best. She was cutting the best promo I've ever seen her cut, but the fans kept chanting, what? Lyra just doesn't have any charisma. That's the issue. No charisma here. Zero. It's a vacuum of charisma. She can cut a decent promo, but she just, it's not going to work for her. Lyra challenges her to Intercontinental Championship at Backlash. Becky accepts. Lyra, again, I thought she did well. She really told people how people had warned her about Becky. Becky retreated. Lyra went up the ramp to hold her belt up high, and Becky attacked her from behind. So, veteran move. And I did like how Lyra mentioned that she beat Becky for the NXT Women's Championship a year and a half ago. I thought that was good, too. I like that touch. Penta's backstage. Aldis makes a match for him against JD McDonough. Gable confronts Penta. Gable mocks Penta for Phoenix's loss. He says he was wearing an El Grande Americano shirt, and then Penta kicks Gable in the chest. Stephanie Vaquer heads to the ring. We get a really good Rusev video promo, which I liked. He says he's upset because he felt he was taken advantage of. He says he won't fight for a manager, so we're not going to see Lana back for you Lana fans. I'd like to see Lana as a manager, it's not as a wrestler. She was a horrible wrestler, but a great manager for Rusev for those first couple years or so. She was a big part of his act and why he initially got over, and he even mentioned a tank at WrestleMania 31, which is still awesome 10 years ago. So it's still one of my favorite WrestleMania entrances of all time. And then he also says he won't fight for a flag, so he says like he's not going to fight for Russia, which doesn't make sense for him to fight for Russia. He's Bulgarian. I just never understood that. Yeah, I mean, it's not like Belarus, which is kind of really close with Russia. Bulgaria is like in the south of Europe, so. Anyway, he says he talked about how he was saved in Bulgaria, and he mentioned the Abyss, so that's obviously a reference to AEW. And it was a good promo by him. He had Stephanie Vaquer make her entrance. You have Ivy Nile against Stephanie Vaquer. Ivy originally countered the Devil's Kiss, which is what it is. They usually just call it the head scissors thing. I don't have to start calling it the Devil's Kiss, but Stephanie hit the Devil's Kiss first at the end of the break, which everyone loved, but the camera shot didn't show her ass, and then when they came back, we saw it again by the time we got the stills of her ass, which the crowd loved. Everyone loves the Devil's Kiss. Stephanie won with the SVB, so she beat Ivy Nile. It didn't really mean anything to match, so I'm not sure what the whole point was, just to have Vaquer showcase her, but I mean, she's still going to be in NXT. She's the NXT Women's Champ. He had Nick Aldis talking to AJ Styles backstage. Then Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Dom interrupt them. Liv brings up that she's in a movie and she will have to take time off despite being a champion. And I thought this was hilarious because Liv says she needs time off, and then Aldis, who's not even the general manager of Raw, agrees. But then it's funny because after that, you have Dom say he wants time off, but he can. Aldis lectures him about being the Intercontinental Champion. And by the way, Aldis was filling in for Adam Pearce today. I don't know why. Hope everything's all right, but he was off, and then he's lecturing Dom. I think this is so hypocritical. Liv gets to take time off, and she's a champion, so the women's tag team titles don't mean as much as the Intercontinental Championship. That's true, but I don't think that's the perception they want out there. So Dom also... He gets denied by Aldis, and then AJ and Dom have a confrontation. Dom insulted him, and I guess that's probably the next program for Dom. I was thinking this would be AJ and Cross. I'm not sure we're going to get that. Sami Zayn's backstage. Cross gives him advice. Michael Cole apologized for last week's incident. He's basically saying that he provoked Gunter. McAfee gets on the mic, stands on the announce booth, and cuts this long-winded promo, drops multiple F-bombs. I'm thinking, this is good, but it's too bad like an ordinary wrestler can't use that kind of language because Pat's just a special deal, but it was still a great promo, I'm not going to lie. I don't really want to see this match. I think Gunter should just kill him in 2 minutes, but it was this long, impassioned promo. He rips into Gunter. He challenges him to a match, and McAfee kept talking all the stuff he donates to and how good of a person he is and all the charities, and he wants people to remember him, and, it was a good promo. And then eventually... Aldis came out, and he set up the match. So we got Gunter and Pat McAfee Backlash. They showed John Cena versus Randy Orton highlights from SummerSlam 2007. That main event, they're making it like it's this all-time classic match and how it built them as stars. No, it didn't. Cena was already the biggest star in the company 2 years before then, really. Especially when Batista went down with those injuries. That's when Cena basically, everyone knew he was going to be the top guy. And Randy... at that time was already pushed as the top heel. So, and I thought that SummerSlam was awful. That match was good. That SummerSlam sucked. 07's a horrible SummerSlam. Jey Uso talked to Sami Zayn backstage, and then after Sami left, Jay's looking at him like as if he was a little suspicious, but then Logan Paul knocks out Jey Uso backstage. So they got their match at Backlash. So 2 celebrity matches. Pat McAfee against Gunter, Logan Paul challenging Jey Uso. Jey Uso sucks. I'll say that every week. Jey Uso sucks. You had Seth Rollins in the ring waiting for Sami Zayn. Sami comes out, tells him to go to hell, rejects Seth's offer. Then we get the main event, Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn. The fans are doing the Firefly gimmick. They were bored. Kansas City was a little bit bored here. I don't blame them. Braun just killed Sami, hit 3 spears. Sami's on the outside. Refs are trying to help him up, and he hits a forward spear, just kills Sami Zayn, throws him back in the ring. The match is called off, so Braun wins by ref stoppage. And then Sami's destroyed. He's trying to get up, and he has all these trainers and referees that are helping him. Seth tells Braun not to do it and to attack him, and then Seth destroys Sami, lays him out with a curb stomp, and then you have the show ending with Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker all standing tall to end Raw, which apologize for going fast here. I'm not in good condition right now. Pretty painful for me to even talk to this interview. In particular, the left side of my face is extremely painful, so apologize if I went quickly. I watched the show, made some notes, and tried to do the best I can for this review. That was Raw from Kansas City. I have to say also, it kind of sucks now, even though as much as I didn't like WrestleMania season's really over. Last week it's still not because it's the night after. Now it's like, oh, it's over. It's like we're back to normal. Gotta wait a whole year now for WrestleMania 42. But that's how it goes.